A meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening we have Benin and Area leading us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Are there any changes or revisions to the regular or consent agendas?
I have two. One, on the regular agenda, I want to remove item C, the legislative update.
Okay.
We were all at the, except for Lee, and I just talked to him about it. We were all at the Spring Regional Conference, and there's really nothing new other than what the administrators have to implement for next year. So. And the other thing, I am going to abstain from the consent agenda because my son is on the list for recommendations, and as a dependent, he's not listed in my current conflict of interest statement. So I'm going to abstain from that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Joe. I'll take a motion to approve the regular and consent agendas.
That's my motion to approve the regular and consent agendas as amended.
Holly made the motion to approve amended regular and consent agendas, and I think it was Lee seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, recognition of new hires.
All right, well, I would like to welcome two of our new hires. This is Misty Neely, and she's coming to us from Rockville Elementary, and she's going to be our 7th and 8th grade science teacher in our middle school. And everybody just raves about how creative she is, how hardworking she is, and how much she cares about her students. So we're very excited to have her with us. And this is Jalen Duff. She's coming to us from Greencastle, and she's going to be teaching our 6th grade math class this year. They talk about how hardworking she is. Somebody new to the field, when you're in her room, I was told you wouldn't know she's not a veteran teacher. She manages her room, she learns new tools quickly, and she loves her kids. So thank you for approving them. We're very excited to have them in our middle school next year.
Welcome to you both. Okay, recognitions. Students of the month, Central Elementary.
Good evening. Here this is Mrs. Miner, and we want to introduce to you Aria Macbeth. She is a kindergarten student for Mrs. Miner, and this is what she says about her, that she's a very caring and responsible kindergarten student. She shows courage in our classroom by making good choices. She is almost always my first student to follow directions. Aria works hard to be competent and successful in her work. She is kind and respectful to her students and adults, and it's been a joy to have Aria in class every day. And one other thing here, this young lady has improved so much this year. We're very, very proud of how much she's grown this year. So very proud of you.
And Fillmore Elementary.
Hi, this is Channing Parker, and Channing was nominated as Fillmore Student of the Month by our specials teachers. So our specials teachers have every student in the building, and they chose Channing out of all of the students to be Student of the Month. So the specials teacher said that Channing treats everyone, teachers and students alike, with respect and politeness. Channing is kind to everyone she meets and makes them feel welcome. She asks insightful questions, trying to understand a concept or a project, and Channing always tries to do her best and gives her best effort, even when the task is difficult. She is a positive influence to be around and a model student. So Channing is a delight to work with, and she will be missed at Fillmore Elementary because next year she will go to middle school. So we'll miss her, but she will be a great addition to the middle school. So she should be proud of her accomplishments, and the special teachers certainly are proud of Channing. As her principal, I can tell you I'm really proud of her work and growth from this school year. Not only that, but I've personally witnessed Channing showing compassion and empathy towards other students. And so no matter what, I can always count on Channing to treat other kids right and to treat our staff the right way too. So congratulations to Channing.
And middle school and high school.
We'll start with Alyssa Pingleton. That's for our high school. And Alyssa was nominated by Mr. Zach Arrett. And he writes that Alyssa has had a great semester. She's one of the few students that did not have my class 2 years ago. And while many of the others have had some material before, she was learning it for the first time. What has been so impressive about Allie has been her ability to work through adversity. She is performing well on all of her assignments, and her success is a direct result of her hard work and commitment to excellence. There have been so many times where she's reached out for help or comes in during homeroom to complete assignments and labs. She also plays softball. We can tell that tonight, right? And currently is in a very busy period of her season, and even with that additional time commitment, she has found a way to excel. So congratulations. I think I saw James, right? James Huddleston is our middle school student of the month. And James was nominated by Mrs. Cope. She said, James is such a joy to have in class. He really enjoys social studies and is always asking questions about the content we are learning. He puts forth 100% of effort on every assignment and never comes back down from the challenge. Also, when I talked to Mr. Rounds today, he talked about James, and he said that James is the guy that you see in the hallway, and he just is kind to everyone. They're in the cafeteria, and Mr. Rounds is picking some things up off of the table, and James is nearby and just comes over to help. Hey, how can I help, Mr. Rounds? He's kind to his teachers, he's kind to his classmates, he holds doors for people, he picks up things in the hallway for people. He just brings a lot of joy to all of our teachers and students. Thank you very much, James.
And then I have a couple of recognitions. The first one is Les Brown, if you'll stand, please. I met with Les when he came into 4th grade, I think it was, at Fillmore. And have been able to watch him grow as a student, but also as a friend to my grandson and as an athlete. And then, as you know, he was the one that did the Eagle Scout thing. So this week he was honored because he earned his Eagle Scout, what do you call that?
Eagle Scout Corps of Honor on Monday.
Thank you, Corps of Honor, which was a great service to go to, and it just reminded me of, you know, our vision, which is developing creative, critical thinkers who exemplify courage, competence, and virtue throughout life. This young man has shown that since 4th grade, and he's one of our exemplary students. So I just wanted you all to be reminded of what good things come from And then the other recognition that I wanted to give is to our track coaches, Brandon Welty, Heath Pruitt, and Savannah Clark. I have attended, and I'm sure most of you have attended track meets. It's not my favorite sporting event, I gotta be honest, because it's in the worst time of the year, the weather's always bad, and you end up sitting on a bleacher for a really long time watching absolutely nothing go on. And when you go to an away meet, you're kind of at the mercy of that school putting on their event. And every away meet that I went to, it wasn't their coaches making the meet run smoothly by moving the hurdles and everything. It was our coaches taking the initiative to do that, which set a wonderful example for all our track kids who also went out to help. So it just warmed my heart, and it just made me feel so proud of the people we have here at South Putnam. So just wanted to give them a shout out. So, okay. All right, so now is the time when all you wonderful people who've been recognized may leave if you would like to. You're welcome to stay, of course, but we totally understand. Financial update. Dr. Smith.
Thank you. In your board packets, you received the latest financial reports, which is through the end of April 2024, including claim dockets, the payrolls, our cash flows, our transfers, and the fund reports. I'm happy to continue to report that we are continuing to track positively towards all those forecasted incomes that we've talked about back in the budgeting session last year. So I'm very excited to keep on those tracks.
And now we have item 5D, project update with Fanning Howie, Andy Miller, and David Rowe.
Yep, and they are virtual with us tonight. Oh, hold on a second.
More volume.
Yep, I got to get you more volume. Just a moment. Let's try that. Okay, try again, David. Sorry.
All set?
There we go.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm excited to check in here with everyone again. Get a brief update on where we've been the last month here. We're down to the home stretch as far as design goes on these projects. Wrapping up design on the field house. We're about 95% of the way there right now. Still tracking towards May 23rd completion date for design documents, which is next Thursday. So as I said, really getting down to it, which sets us up for a June bidding period on the field house. So since the last time that we chatted, we did receive and review the design development cost estimates with MKS. So I'm happy to report that estimate came in just about $160,000 over budget, which sounds like a lot of money, but on a $20 million project with all the other projects in there considered, that's really a pretty strong position to be in as we wrap up design. So we're hard at work this week to wrap up those documents and working on developing a list of some alternates as well that'll give us some options and protect our budget a little bit come bid day. So as I said, I think we're in a good position and like the process that we've employed throughout the past few weeks to set us up to finish design strong on the field house. I'm excited to see that one move into bidding and construction. And then our other projects that are ongoing right now have all been awarded. They're, track and field. You can see the progress being made out there already. They've, got the old turf and topsoil stripped out. They're starting to regrade, set new track curbs and underground for the track and field. So that one is moving full steam ahead. So that's exciting to see as well. Any questions?
No.
Thank you, Dave.
I appreciate the update.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, okay. All right, this next section, item 6, is public comment. And we do have a couple of people who have signed up. I just wanted to go over just a couple of things because we don't have public speakers often. And so just to help me out, I just thought I would go over just some general guidelines. So first of all, welcome. I personally admire courage for people to come and speak in a public setting. So thank you. The board does appreciate hearing from parents. So we go by policy. According to our policy, you have to sign in, which you've done. Your statement, when you stand up, we'll ask that you give your name and your address, or it might be easier just to give your the township where your address is. And you'll have 3 minutes, which is it can be a long time or it can be a really short time. But either way, that's what the policy says. And so Joe will be timing, so we'll set a timer for 3 minutes. And when the timer goes off, as difficult as it is, that's when we got to stop you. So statements only, statements and comments are made to me, directed to me. So you'll have to look at me, sorry. And there are no questions, and we can't use names of students or staff or anything like that because it's a public meeting. So with that said, I think I've covered everything. So we'll get started. Teresa Portwood.
Hi friends, I know many of you, some of you I don't know, so let me give you the quick version. First of all, I do want to thank you. I sent an email in and I got a lovely response back that you were taking it under consideration, and I appreciate that. My purpose here today is to say this. I started in the northern part of the county as a student. I raised 2 children in this end of the county as Eagles, and I have grandchildren who are Eagles. Many things have changed since I was in school, and they continue to change really, really fast. And the amount of time that a student is in the school is very brief. And having done this a couple of times now, you know, being second generation, I know how quick it goes. The purpose of what I want to talk about is that we have a policy that I believe excludes athletes and possibly other extracurricular participants based on some actions that they might have taken. I'm here to ask you if there is a way that we can have a bit of a workaround when a student reaches a point that they're going to be excluded from the activity that they love. That doesn't serve them well to exclude them from that activity. Perhaps there's a different route we can take. I'll be on a committee. I'll do anything I can do to help you with that. You're all busy. You've got a super full agenda. Every teacher here is busy. I know that. We're all busy. But when you remove a student from something that they love, it's not like taking a toy away from a 3-year-old. When you take them out of sports, they take a different tact. Now, I raised 2 athletes. They're both still very athletic. They're both great people. They work, they have a tremendous work ethic. I had another foster son who had trouble in school. I sat in timeout with him here at school trying to get things figured out. I've got both ends of it, but you know what? He's got a strong work ethic now too. I just implore you to take action quickly when a problem gets to a level that you feel like you need to kick a student out of something. Maybe we need to look at policy quickly, and maybe we need to give someone in the office, I'll say it that way, someone in the office or someone in the school board or someone a way to work around that as opposed to pushing them out of the activity. That's really all I have to say. I'll say one more thing. My youngest son has been out of school 21 years. My time up?
So sorry.
Thanks.
Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate your sharing. Teresa, what township are you from?
I'm actually in Cloverdale Township.
Iris?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
My name's Mandy Harris. I'm in Washington Township. I'm super nervous, so I am here for the same reason that she is here. I want to discuss the athletic drug policy. I know that not everyone's going to experience the consequences from that. And I can only speak personally from that I have been on the other end of that, unfortunately. Thankfully, I've not been to the far extreme. But I do know that other people have. And I think that we need to work to keep students in the school and into sports rather than exclude them. I think that this is a helpful path for them to stay out of other trouble. This keeps them busy from doing other things, maybe after school, keeps them with their friends, keeps them routine, keeps them part of a brotherhood or sisterhood if you have a daughter type thing. I think that like she mentioned, we need to work fast on it because things can change quickly, especially whenever students feel like they don't matter or that they are just at rock bottom. Let's face it, teenagers are dramatic, and they go to extreme a lot of times. So I think that making this change will be helpful for our future teenagers that cannot find a way to make the right choices early on in their life, but turn out to be wonderful adults like myself. But yeah, I'm asking, I'm begging to look at some revisions and revise quickly for the sake of the high schoolers that we have, the middle schoolers that we have, and making some other changes, making suggestions in the community service, putting them out there where they see how their other people's decisions have changed their lives, like the recovery raw. Eric Murphy's I don't know how to say that. Sorry. I have a friend who's in that, and he could point you in the right direction. But having them work in the community where they see that your life can change and it could go wonderfully or bad, I think doing things like that would be more productive than ripping athletics away from them. I know that they made these choices and they have to live with these consequences and they need to learn from them, but I think that we can find a different way to help them learn from them and to make better choices. That's really it. I could sit here and the whole entire time, but I'm not going to. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for sharing. I mean, common ground is we all want the best for our kids, right? So we appreciate you coming in. Okay, new business, consideration of summer worker pay.
As we add additional positions or update pay to summer work pay, I will come to you to approve those positions. I've done that in the past as well. So I'll approve those positions and or the pay rates tonight. We're doing that. Just seeking the approval of the summer food workers, the lifeguards, the bus and mowing summer work pay as detailed in your packets.
probably abstain from that as well because it involves lifeguard.
Two.
Move to approve the Miss Summer work pay.
Lee made the motion to approve the summer work pay. Wade seconded it. All those in favor? Abstaining? I know. Just wanted to make it official. Okay, 7B, consideration of cancellation of SRO MOU with Cloverdale.
A year ago, I came to you for approval for the final version, if you remember, after many of the SRO MOUs with the town of Cloverdale and Cloverdale Community Schools. Tonight, I'm asking for a cancellation of that MOU. It's not due to any problems with the arrangement, but just to allow us to pursue additional and expanded SRO resources for the future. We do thank Cloverdale. I personally thank Cloverdale and the Cloverdale Community Schools for their shared commitment to our student safety and their partnership during this last school year in the development and understanding of the school resource officer role in our schools, because that was our first experience with that. Tonight, I'm just seeking approval of the cancellation of that agreement as detailed in your board packets.
Questions on that one? Motion to approve.
I move to approve the cancellation of the SRO MOU over there.
Second.
Joe made the motion to approve the cancellation of the SRU MOU with Cloverdale. Lee seconded that. All those in favor? Against? 7C, consideration of SRO MOU with Putnam County Sheriff's Department.
As part of our goal of increasing student and staff safety throughout all of our buildings through South Putnam Community School District, we developed an interlocal agreement with Putnam County and the Putnam County Sheriff's Department to provide increased SRO services to South Putnam. This interlocal agreement will increase our current 20 hours of SRO services per week to 48 hours of SRO services per week, thereby increasing our SRO coverage by 240%. This will still be covered by our secured safety grant, which is currently in place through the fall of 24, and we will reapply for the 25 grant cycle as well. We've been working on this agreement for quite a while, discussing many different SRO arrangement configurations. Additionally, it's been reviewed and negotiated by our school attorney, Tim Shelley. Tonight, we're just seeking approval of that interlocal agreement with Putnam County for our student resource officer services.
Question: what is the likelihood that we will retain or achieve the second grant or the next grant for the following year?
That's what the grant's for, and it's generally used for SROs.
What is the likelihood that we will actually get the grant?
I don't see any reason why we would not. So I would say
there's not a lot of
no, because that's exactly why they give us that grant, and they provide that grant is for those services. And we use that for our safety enhancements throughout the district, and also for the SRO services.
That's state funding, right? I mean, that's state funding.
Which we find that out July 1st.
We would apply this summer, and in the fall is when it goes into effect, because it runs through the. We usually apply in the summer.
That's similar to like the High Ability Grant or the Title I grant or all those grants that they just continue to you just have to reapply for.
So my understanding is it opened on June 3rd and it's due by July 1st.
And they usually approve it by the fall, so it usually goes into effect like in September or October is when it goes into effect. And so our current grant runs through the end of that period, and then that one will start.
Do we have a backup plan if for some unforeseen reason that we do not?
We would have it in our finances yes, in our operational budget. But I don't want to use that because I'm planning this.
Yeah.
Sheriff Baugh is here, so if we have any questions.
Sheriff Ball, they may have a few questions for you.
Thank you for coming.
So our contract states an hourly pay, with the stipulation that that pays part-time officers and ancillary expenses. What are the ancillary expenses?
That would go to.
Yeah.
Extras.
Like if you were to break that out, what are you paying your deputies?
We haven't set that yet. I know we started a contract about a year ago with the hospital with a similar idea. In other words, we have billable hours, and then we set the fee afterwards, which we check with the auditor to find out what the fight is going to cost, and then anything else that we would need, we would see that we would need. So we have not set an hourly rate that we would be paying the deputy yet, because we have to pretty much see what the FICA is going to cost it and anything else that we may need to make the program better.
But in our contract, we have a.
It's basically like a service agreement, so we're paying that much per service hour to them. They're a Putnam County employee, not our employee.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if you don't know what you're going to pay them and what these expenses are going to be, then how can we already have a dollar figure here?
Because I know I can work within that because that's what I do at the hospital.
But what if it's less? Are you going to charge us less, or we're just?
No, we will use the other income, similar, or the other money that's in there. One of the things that I talked with the chief deputy about an hour ago, a lot of times our reserves get hand-me-down equipment, and I don't want our SROs or HROs to have hand-me-down equipment. So we'd be buying the tasers. They're expensive, but instead of sending a bill or figuring out another way, anything extra once we get that. Like we've been working with the hospital now, we have that fund that goes through the auditor, right? It has more money in it than what we use to pay special hospital. We're in talks right now with Axon and Taser to get new equipment from them just for that. So it's equipment that we can add on to. So that fee is something that we know will cover the expenses of the idea, right? And the plan to put an SRO in here, and then so anything else would be. I don't have a line item for each thing because I don't know what our needs are.
So if our money is paying for those pieces of equipment, do they become ours if something happens with our agreement?
No. The vehicle that they'll be driving remains the sheriff's department and the county's. The firearm that they're going to have is going to be that and remain the sheriff's department. Anything that we purchase with those funds will definitely remain within the Putnam County Sheriff's Department.
So I've contacted a few other sheriff's departments just to kind of get an idea of what they do, what their fees are. And one of them I talked to.
What county?
Vermilion County.
Yeah.
So they do a 1099 contract direct to the school employee. They still use county vehicles because they think that that's a service, right? Like that's part of tax dollars. It's minimal. They make about $30 an hour. So I'm wondering if we looked at that avenue to, I mean, that's going to save the school money and we're still going to get the same thing.
What department would you work with? Another department? Who would you work with here?
No, I'm just saying, is that something you'd be willing to do, as a contractor to the school? Like they hire deputies. Like I'm assuming the people that you're going to have are going to be reserve deputies.
No,
Special deputies. So you're hiring people that are actual academy trained, or they're just going to be SRO trained?
So they're going to be minimum. I hope to find some retired officers. That might be a possibility. Minimum, let's do a minimum standard, would be the pre-basic 40-hour class, which is what reserves do.
reserve police officers. The SRO Academy that they have in summer every year, they'll be trained that way. Then we'll continue to train them within the sheriff's department in physical tactics and minimum standards for regular law enforcement. And we're able to do that as a special deputy, where a town marshal, or city mayor, or city police chief can't make special ones. But I can make special deputies. I set the training for each one. So whether it be a hospital resource officer who has a certain set of training skills, a court bailiff that is a special deputy would only have certain training and skills for the job. The other special deputies are jailers, they do transportation for firearms. They have certain special so I would look at each special deputy position and make the training that I think best serves both the community, myself, and anybody else.
So basically reserves that are special deputies, like we're just renaming them in essence, right? So what happens if
No, I can't pay reserves, but I can pay special deputies. So it's more than just
so
there's a lot to do.
what happens if you can't find anyone to take over this job?
Well,
because how many are you thinking? Like, I mean, 48 hours a week, is it going to be one guy, two guys, or is it?
The way I've looked at it is that it'll be 2 part-time employees. That allows me, as a county employee, as a part-time employee, I don't have the responsibilities of health insurance. So the way I'm looking at it right now, I've spoke with 2 people that are interested in it. So just within conversations, I think I've got 2 that are interested in it. And they'll be part-time employees. And they have to be under, I believe, 32 hours out of 40-hour or a 40-week work. 40 weeks of work in a year, I believe it's 32 hours is what it would do to keep them under the requirements to be a part-time employee. So what we'll do is keep them as part-time employees. If they split to 48 hours, it'll be 24 apiece. I suspect that because of requirements and other things that are going on, it may not work. It may not split it exactly, but that's what you're paying for. And so if the school's closed on Monday for a holiday, you're still paying for 48 hours. You get 48 hours, or at least give the opportunity to slot them in 48 hours. So if you're closed on Monday, and we normally only have somebody working Monday through Friday 40 hours to cover the school, right? And then we have that 8 hours extra. If that's 4 hours of the football game Friday and 4 hours somewhere else on Saturday, that would work out also. But if you're closed on Monday, you'd be able to take that 8 hours and put 4 hours at Fillmore, 4 hours at Central, wherever you choose to push that person around. So it gives us a great opportunity. I imagine employees will probably want to 24, but there may be vacations and things like that. As long as we stay under that, I think 1,560 hours a year, we consider a part-time employee. And that's a generality. It's not a hard number. So as long as I stay there, so 1 week maybe 1 employee working a whole week. In the set fee, you said $30 an hour is what they were charging for 1099. But do you know if that was full-time employees or part-time?
They're part-time. They're part-times.
Part-time 1099 through the school.
Correct.
So you guys have all the liability. The school would have all the liability. And the school do the training. I got questions now. Right? I didn't know if you broached those questions with them about training.
They did do SRO training. They were certified. I don't know what
They were employees of the school.
their contract
Of the school.
That particular department did it. They did it as contract employees. So
The other thing is, I think, that would be beneficial to the program also is that if my two SROs that are special deputies can't work it, like they're both sick, both on vacation, any merit deputy, and I just had a meeting with a bunch of them, they were interested. If we pay $35, hypothetically, that number just ballpark. But if I pay $35 an hour, that's kind of what they're getting paid for off-duty work. They could come down here and work there. So my backup plan is merit. Both my SROs have to do SRO conference or whatever. We've got lots of employees that can take that position. The thing about contracting with the department, not the individual, is that that special deputy aspect of it, especially for just filling. You know what I mean? They might not all be able to go there, but any of the people, the court bailiffs that are special deputies, that receive whatever training they decide that they need, they could even come down and fill it. So I don't think filling it's going to be an issue. Just the hard numbers, I just don't want to put out yet. You know, band graphics, I heard it was different. You know, we just haven't crunched it with the client. I got to tell her what we're going with, and we have to look at what FICA would that. But is FICA 7%? I think or 8%.
7.65.
Yeah, so say 8 for my math, and so we got to do all the math on it and see what I think we would keep it. How much of it will be reserved for that budget to buy equipment with. And that's going to be huge. It really will be for us not to offset department-wise and get them good equipment. So.
You mentioned that you would do a lot of the training yourself, but I still assume that any of the SROs would go through just the basic course through NASRO.
Right, it's in the contract that they have to. I do believe, though, that exigent circumstances would put a merit deputy in here for a day when we couldn't get the other two to. I don't want to have 5 SROs all split 48 hours. I'd really like to have this magic number just 2, and then what happens is if somebody needs to fill in, so they won't have the national SRO training, but I believe that
would they know the rules though? Like, I mean, there's certain rules that have to be adhered to. Privacy, school. Like, I mean, school's a little different than the general public. If I'm right, like, do you feel comfortable sticking someone in here for a day that hasn't had that kind of training?
I really do, and the reason why, they may not know your policy and procedures, but they get taught how to deal with what the legal ramifications are for the interview process, things like that. And I believe that if we had somebody in here to fill in, that was a merit deputy or anyone else, they would definitely have a point of contact for anything that they would do. I would be interested in, and I haven't job shadowed down here, the SROs, to see, find out exactly how much of the stuff is different than pure law enforcement. So it's a heck of a balancing act. It's like sometimes you'll hear like with an SRO, we want only police officers who've been in the academy, right? So they're tier 1 operators, and so we only want them. But then again, like you said, they're so specific in the issues that they do, and I wonder how many of them other departments still have on a temporary basis. It's a concern, but I don't think it's a concern that can't be addressed with proper supervision, especially if they're answering to some school before they make it in. I don't think they're going to be control type activities here. Basically, going to be safety is the priority, and then being service to the staff here is going to be number 2. I really truly believe that that's what.
I know I would like to really see no more than 2 SROs in our buildings. I see firsthand every single day the relationships that the SRO at our school builds with those kids, hugging, fist bumping. They have that rapport. They feel so safe. They build a true relationship. And they end up telling them anything. I mean, it's just awesome. And then to think that we might have, there's a few, 3 or 4 or 5 coming in. I think it would be more confusing than to the kids.
And it would only be to cover the hours. So my point is that if your SRO, say now you have an SRO here for 20 hours a week, if that same person is here now for 24 hours a week, then plus or minus. Right, that's plus, right? So say they split those hours with someone else. I'm looking at hiring another person just like that. So you're going to double amount of face time, more than double, with 2 people, right? You're going to have that one that's only here for 20 hours a week now, going to be here for 24, if not 30 or 32, because one person's probably going to work more than the other, right? So I would take what you said, and I would say that's a minimum that you're going to get with this contract. You're going to get a minimum of one person for 22 hours, even if you just split it. Okay? And the only way we'd have 3 or 4 down here is if those 2 we mutually agree on as a school resource officer can't make it. I don't know how many times you have one deputy driver is here now. How many days was he unavailable to provide service? That individual.
So are you asking how many days he took off for various things, or are you asking?
Yeah, because that would be a norm, yeah.
I don't have the exact number off the top of my head.
Oh, no.
And I know he had
Minimum.
Of that was he had to go down to the station to reprogram his radio. It was all police thing, and then every time they have someone come up.
I think the thing I like about more than one is that, you know, you think of a substitute teacher. There's only one teacher. Maybe that's not a good example. My point is, everybody gets sick, right? Everybody's got to take off for a doctor's appointment or whatever. And if you have 2, it just limits the, right? I mean, you just always have the same substitute, kind of, is what I'm trying to say.
My intention with this contract is I would have a lot to do with command and control and putting people in those positions. My full intention is to only have 2 people to take those 48 hours. So it's 24, but somebody's going to be heavy. If we fill those positions, it will only be because of sickness and or training. It won't be because I don't like them that week and I want to put a jailer out here at the South School. It's not what's going to happen. I don't know if the contracts are written, but agreements are made. That's what I'm looking at. Is more than doubling the face time you have with a uniform officer on South Putnam property with a firearm. More than doubling what you have now.
So I heard you mention we're closed on a Monday. They got 8 hours. They may spend 4 hours at a football game. Do you not already put reserve deputies here for football?
Not since I've been here.
Well, prior to you, we had reserve deputies at football games.
I think the SROs do it now, or that department that you're with.
I'm asking.
At times hired police officers for certain athletic events, but we don't hire officers for every event.
So football games, I mean, I've seen them here a lot. You paid for them?
Sometimes they're just coming to the game, but sometimes they are here working. You know, if we know we're going to have a large crowd at any event at school, like at graduation, we have somebody here, right? So when we know we're going to have a large event, but that's something that we're hiring for that event.
So if we had an SRO, you wouldn't need to do that.
Right. Within those hours, as we have banked hours, then it would be an opportunity to have that person here within their banked hours.
Right.
Instead of it being an additional cost.
Was that ever a hassle to hire somebody? I mean, did you have to call around to get somebody available?
Sometimes we've had issues, you know, like prom or something. Sometimes it's hard to find. This year, our SRO was at prom, right? And that was just really nice because, like, hey, we know who it's going to be. It's somebody that already knows the kids. It's just a lot easier to manage a moment like that. Also, I would say before we had an SRO, the Sheriff's Department has always been our response group when we've had an issue at school. And I would like to compliment his department. And when we've had issues with kids, they have always treated our kids like kids. It's been
remarkable. We had one moment when I sent a letter just complimenting how absolutely compassionate and professional the Sheriff's Department response people were. We have had very positive experiences in the past when they've come and assisted us in something in regard to kids. And even if they've not been an SRO, like before they come in and talk to a kid, they know those protocols, kind of where those boundaries are. So I do know there are special things related to an SRO that are unique. But at least, as you mentioned, in terms of working with minors, they know those boundaries and they've treated our kids like kids.
I think something else that might help you with the training aspect, that also idea, kind of bring it home on what, how that's, that minimum amount of training. The school resource officer that you had here this year has only had 3 visits. It's not been an in-house operation. I think from what I've been hearing from everybody, especially my wife, is he's an excellent person in that position and been doing really well in that position and dealing with the staff here. And they've had just that minimum training that you and I have been discussing.
So do you plan on taking him onto your payroll?
I have not discussed anything with him yet because I totally want to wait because it's not hypothetical. I'm interested in the conversation. If we have a contract to take to the commissioners and then they sign it, I hate to offer things that I can't guarantee. I'm not on this contract. I'm just a facilitator. So I hate to tell somebody they got a job.
Well, I mean, he just lost one.
I'm sorry?
I mean, he just lost one. So,
Yeah.
I guess my biggest concern with signing this contract today is, one, we have an arbitrary number there that we don't know what we're paying the people. One, we don't know what the improved equipment that they currently don't have is going to cost us. And I see that we're also, I mean, we are paying the corporation all the conferences and such, travel, lodging, fees, meals, all of that as well. I guess I'd like to see what you're paying, what's going to what. I mean, because maybe it's a better deal for us to buy the tasers for them, and I just, that's my.
We're not being charged extra for that equipment.
But it's $45.
That $45.
But we don't know what's for what. So hypothetically, because we don't know, because you haven't sat down with the auditors and you don't know what your fees are going to be. Let's say you pay them.
I do know the fees. Fees are $45.
No, I'm saying of that $45, you don't know what's going to pay your person. Let's say you pay them $30, so you have $15 an hour times $48 an hour, or times. So per week, that's an additional $720 that's going for equipment and FICA, which is only 7.65%. Do you see what I'm saying? Like your pot could be growing and you're only paying your guy this much, and we could be saving money because we don't actually know what you have broke down these fees. Like, how much is the equipment? Like, I guess.
I won't be able to, and there's no way. Because what we're doing is we're creating a service, an hourly service for an individual. And I know that will cover it because I have to come up with a cost. What I don't know is how every single dime is going out of that. I cannot tell you, and I won't tell you. Here's why. I don't know how long this contract's going to go. Anytime, 30 days, I don't like it, or the commissioners, I tell them, get rid of it, I don't want to do it anymore, and we're out of it, right? So I don't know if that's, we only did it for 2 months, and that's $400 that's extra, whatever it costs to get to a $10,000 item. So I won't know exactly what the numbers are in to tell you where it's going to go.
That's actually $5,760-ish extra in there. If like you said, you don't even know what you're paying the people. But I guess I would just like to see more of a breakdown. I'm not asking for exact. I'm just saying you have an idea of what equipment might cost that you're wanting to get them. You have to have an idea of what you want to pay them an hour, which will then let you know what FICA is, because you can't go ask your auditor what FICA is without knowing what you're going to pay them an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, our job is financial and policy, and how do I make a decision when I don't have all the numbers? Is kind of where I'm at. I'm not saying we don't need 2 SROs. I'm not saying we don't need more than 48 hours. We might. I'm just
It
saying.
won't be in the contract, but I'll tell you, I'll pay $35 an hour. That's all public record. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so the way I understand it, we have 30 days. If at the end of 30 days you don't like it or we don't like it, we can nix it, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so within that 30 days, would you be able to give Holly a more specific accounting?
It shouldn't be just me. It should be all of us.
Well, but I'm saying your question. I meant your question. Your question answered as far as the breakdown goes.
I'll grab my. Let me grab my.
And then in 30 days, we don't like it. We were out an SRO. Like, we just fired our guy. That's what I'm saying.
How long does he work till? The one that we have presently. His contract is up July 1st.
Through the end of July.
Through the end of July. So we've got one through the end of July.
So 90 days.
Yeah. Well, he's still 90 days. Like he's fired right now, July.
No, I'm just saying, like, let's say they back out in 30 days, then in July, who do we go to next? Like, I don't know how easy it is I just think we should have all our.
You say
7.65%.
My biggest is I think it should be 1 or 2 at most. 2 guys. I think we can schedule training to make it where there's a couple guys. We can work that out. That's my opinion. I think.
What are you saying, Lee?
Wait, I think get 4 or 5 guys. And I think it's too much. I'd say 2 at the most.
4 or 5.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I think 2 at the most, and you can schedule the training to be offsetting or whatever, where they're never not one of them 2 is not here at the same time. I think that's reasonable for you guys to be able to handle that as far as scheduling the training to where you're not having 4 or 5 different guys in here. Building a reputation or a bond with students, I think, is very important. When you get too many guys or gals, I think you don't get that bond with the students. So
The goal is to have 2.
the goal is to have 2. I think that's good. I think that's a good idea.
Our current SRO, he's not in the building every day, is he? No. So it's.
Yeah. So we're getting, even though it comes in 2 people, 2 packages, we get more than twice the amount of hours.
It's no different than having different people on lunch responsibility. Like, it's going to be the same 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any harm in having two.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I think what you were trying to say is, the sheriff's going to schedule the training so that
So one could be
they're
here.
not both off at training at the same
That's what I'm
time.
saying,
So the
yeah.
intent is not to backfill,
Right.
but dire emergency, there is going to be somebody.
Correct.
I think that's.
Yeah.
I think we're hearing the message there.
The other thing that can do, our whole state math says $7.62 an hour is beyond FICA. If we do $35 an hour, I may have to pay more than that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to pay an hour to get the people that I want to do the job. So, but if we take that, I'll tell you something else you can do with that. Is if I want them to meet me at the gun range on Sunday, I get paid out of that $7.62 an hour. Right? I can pay them as a part-time employee for the work they do for me, meeting me at the gun range to shoot, or to train. So 48 hours is here. Anything extra, I can take out of the extra, whatever it's between the hourly rate, FICA, and the other extra. It's in a fund that goes through the auditor and gets approved by the commissioners every month. So,
I just did the math. Let's say you pay your guy $35 an hour. I took tax, the FICA, your part, your match, because he actually has to pay his own. But if I subtract that, I get a difference of $351.48 a week, which means at 40 weeks is $14,059.20. I don't know what a taser costs, but I mean, $14,000 is quite a bit for 40 weeks. Like, I guess before I can say yes, I want to know. Not exact. I want to know what you plan to do with $14,059.20. Like is that more than enough? Is that not enough to cover his stuff? And
commissioners had the same concern with the hospital research officer when I went in there and had a similar conversation with them. And because they may say, no, we're not spending county gas money. We're not spending the county car down here. We're not using the county gun down here. We're not doing any of that.
Well, that would be a shame because we're all taxpayers.
Unless they pay more.
They pay more,
and then they got to buy your own guns out there, Sheriff. I don't want them using guns out there, things. So it could be more when we get done with the commissioners. I don't know what their thoughts are. I know that they've allowed me to, with the hospital, do something almost exactly to the point of this, but they only provide them with 24 hours a week coverage with a special deputy. They've come down here. And it's worked out so far. Anything that gets spent out of that fund, I don't get to just go to Coast.
Oh, no.
I file something with the auditor, purchase order, whatever. I'd be more glad if they pull it back. I think it would be, I haven't spent any of it with the hospital. It's just sitting, which is horrible, right? No, it's not. But what if we need something, right? What if we need new body cameras? Yes, all right. Those are very expensive. And so we might just buy body cameras. Replace the ones that we use from the county. Lots of things I think we do.
But that's a lot of money just sitting there. I understand you might need it, but what do you like if the hospital were to get rid of your contract? You have all this money sitting there. What are you going to do with it? You're going to give it back to them?
It wasn't contractually decided what to do with it. I think that would be the right thing to do, but that doesn't mean that that's what we would do.
But there's no provisions in here for that.
Nope. Not that I'm aware of.
Service contract. Like we have farm maintenance agreements and those types of things. This is the service agreement for SRO.
So this money that we pay goes into a SRO fund for the.
You will pay the auditor.
Okay, but it goes into a fund specifically for SROs. So our SRO.
That I decide that we need for the program. And I would be more than glad to give you a list of it. I haven't had any of it for the last one. But it would probably be, in my opinion, you're going to need somebody more than 40 hours. Or we pay them to do some training that's above and beyond the regular work. I've got that in there to pay them. I can do it.
Okay, so when the money goes to the auditor,
Oh, yeah.
any money that comes from us goes to our having SROs, just South Putnam. Okay.
Anything that I would spend other than hourly in it, it's not in there, but it's myself or the representative would come down as many times as you would like, as our secretary, and report back any expenditures out there. But I don't think it would be anything other than that, because I can't really forecast exactly what we're going to need. I don't have. It's like a budget. You know, they approve tires. I don't know how much tires are going to cost this year. Fix a vehicle. I have no idea. But I need a certain amount I know to operate year to year. I think this program will easily work with that extra. Did you say it was 14,000 extra for 40 weeks? 40 weeks. Yeah, that can easily be done. And there may be requests from the school too. It's got to build up. It's not instant. We're going to use what we have.
What's your current SRO? What's he carry? What's his equipment? Is there anything that he doesn't have that you think he should have?
I think he should have.
What?
I think he is fully equipped to keep our kids safe on a daily basis. I thought he needed something else. I would have asked Dr. Smith to purchase that for him.
I mean, what does he have?
He's got a taser. He's got radio, he's got a computer, he's got whatever he's got. I think he's got an extra caliber weapon in his car. He's got a car. He's got a second computer in his car, one in his office. He's got handcuffs.
I was just saying. So currently, the current guys you possibly plan to put here have tasers already?
Yes, they do. Hand-me-down tasers.
Which they have to work, or they wouldn't be carrying them.
You'd be surprised. They work. You can no longer, the tasers that we get, they're still okay to carry, but we can no longer update the computer program. The program's no longer sustain those. I know that a new taser is $120.
Say that again.
The Taser 10, I went to a demonstration, it's over $100 a month. Don't rent them because you can't buy them.
Okay. So what's the next version that you can buy?
I'm not 100% sure.
Which it's irrelevant. I'm just. That's just my thoughts. I feel like not knowing financially, I think there's some things that should be adjusted in here before we approve it. But I think I don't think I have any more questions or whatever. So.
I have one more question for you, Jerry. It's no longer related, but if it's one of your employees and you find yourself not having adequate staffing, what would you think the chances would be with no notice, just calling that SRO and saying, hey, we have a situation, we need you here?
Say it one more time.
If you found yourself, if the SRO is one of your employees and you don't have adequate staffing for a day or for a
Not
period
here,
of time.
staffing somewhere else.
Yeah, for you and your department. What would prevent you from just saying, hey, we need you now to come not cover this? Is that an option? Would that ever?
Minus a nuclear holocaust or something. I don't know what it would be. The ability that instead of, contracting with the whole department for services provided, especially one that has 25 merit deputies, 7 reserves, 12 special deputies, about 18 special deputies, opens up that. I don't think that.
And just a couple of weeks ago, when there was the eclipse, there were numerous SROs around the area that got pulled and said, we need you here.
Oh, really? Oh, you mean on the, because school was closed. all of them. Yeah. The SRO, the contract also says that provide services on your property. It's not that you pay to hire extra deputies. There's going to be two people that both been to the SRO academy. They have at least 80 hours, like the current officer has for a year. And if anybody else fills in, it'll first be filled by merit deputies. Right? None of them can do it. We may get down to some kind of bailiff that's been there for a long time. I'm not going to swear somebody in the parking lot, send them into your school for SRO. They would be strict standards to carry a firearm for our department. Now, be around other people with that firearm and maybe be arrested. The biggest thing is going to be the connection that we have between the SRO and the staff. So not sending out 4 or 5 different people in, which will be 2, both of them are sick, or both out of town at the same time. And then it'll be, like I said, it'll be backfilled with the merit deputy. And I feel confident in the staff here as we work now. There's been several times, even in the 14, 16 months that I've been working, that you will call a merit deputy off the road to come in here to handle cases. Take that, 2 hours, multiply it times 4, and they're just here for the whole day. And if you're going to let them come in here to handle situations like that, I think you'll be all right with a merit deputy or to fill in for a day. Some of those are out. Number 2. I said it. I'm not supposed to mention COVID. There it is. So yeah, both of them extremely sick. Like I said, I feel confident. I really do. Thank you, Sheriff. Merit deputies go to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy for 16 weeks, study juvenile crimes, get legal updates on juvenile crimes. I'm sure they can handle one video in here, maybe a month. That's what we've ever done to
What's the current breakdown? Like how many per building? Where does our current SRO spend? What's his breakdown?
You're saying is that currently he will start at Central. He will in an area make sure drop off goes well, then he'll come down or kind of make sure everything's secure. He'll come down on a bus with drop off and bus arrival. He will check all of our perimeter. He checks all the doors. Depending on Central, he'll go up to Fillmore about once a week since it takes a good chunk of his day to get up there and get back. Which this agreement would allow for some extra hours for someone to have more time to do that. So he does some of that. He comes in, walks through each building, goes and checks the interior, make sure everything's okay in Central and in high school. And one of the things we have right now, why we're so excited we get to add these more hours, is that once he checks, we call this the checklist of his job, he's about done because that takes a long time to secure 2 large buildings. If we add in more hours, then we get the ability for him to build more relationships, go down to the weight room, lift with kids, spend time at lunch, go to hang out at the art classroom up at Central, drive up to Fillmore, and do Fillmore things. But the point being is that right now he hits all the checklists to make sure the building's safe. Sometimes he'll meet with us on some things, help us things, and then he's got to go down to Clover. Whereas if we can do this, he can do all those same. This person can do all those same things, and also build relationships with kids as well.
I'm not saying we don't need him for more hours.
No, I guess what I'm saying is that I wasn't trying to say you were. I was trying to say that right now he spends most of his time checking off all the security check boxes at each building, and then and so that's kind of what he does, just making sure the building's secure. It doesn't get the time to build relationships.
So I'm under the understanding that Fillmore just hired a marshal. Like, would it be beneficial for us to find out what his hours are, pay said marshal to do those things? If you're saying they check doors, they check perimeters, that takes 40 minutes. Like, would that be in our best interest to pay somebody a minimal amount of hours to do those things every day at Fillmore? So then your guys are here in this vicinity doing those things, and also can spend time at Fillmore, but then they wouldn't have to do the checking the doors or checking, like, it doesn't, I mean, anybody can go around check doors, but, you know what I'm saying? So I guess I just.
You've asked a lot of good questions. I think the sheriff's answered a lot of those, and most of us probably feel decently comfortable with it, especially because the way I'm looking at it, we have SRO coverage right now, currently, even though the contract has been canceled. We've got that until theoretically end of July, unless something else happens. We have a 30-day window on this one, and based on that and the conversation we've had, I'm suggesting I'm gonna move to accept this SRO MOU with Putnam County Sheriff's Department.
My second.
Okay, so Joe made the motion to approve the contract with
SRO MOU.
the SRO. Yeah, and Lee seconded it. Sorry. All those in favor? Against?
I'm only declining because I feel like it's fiscally irresponsible to not know what those dollars go to. So that's it. I believe we need an SRO. I believe we may need 2 SROs. I'm not saying that I don't think safety is important. I'm saying this is, for me, this is fiscally responsible to not have a few more pieces. So.
Thank you all. Item D, consideration of science of reading stipends for elementary teachers.
We started with 2 of the 4 science of reading trainings through Janie Peebler at our Built-in Professional Development Days earlier in this year, which will be accepted by the IDOE towards that 80-hour literacy endorsement that's been recently required by legislation. We're seeking approval of an additional stipend for days 3 and 4 of that training, which will occur on May 28th and 29th. That's outside of the teaching contract. So that's why I'm asking for a stipend for those days. This stipend will help the teachers who take that time to attend those last 2 sessions. With the focus on science of reading and the new requirements, we're striving to help our teachers in any way possible to meet the requirements. Therefore, we're just seeking approval of those stipends for that training that will happen on those days after the contract period.
Any questions or?
How much is the stipend? I didn't see that in the attachment.
It's $150 a day.
And it's a 2-day.
It's 2 days. Yep. So if they attend both sessions, it's $300, but it's $150 per day.
Second.
We made the motion to approve the science of reading training stipends. Joe seconded it. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Consideration of administration office surplus items.
Yeah. From time to time, I bring you items to be surplus for removal. Through the efforts of Lindsay Typend, our compliance and document control administrative assistant up at the administrative office, we have some old office furniture and student furniture that just needs to be surplused, and that's all detailed in your board packets. We're just seeking approval of those items tonight.
Surplus items.
We made the motion to approve the removal of the administrative surplus items. Holly seconded that. All those in favor? Motion carries. F, consideration of food service bids.
As per the State Board of Accounts, food services must seek approval from the board of their food service bids vendors. Therefore, I'm just keeping it simple tonight. We're just seeking approval of that food service bids as outlined in your packets. Those are who we use to buy our items for our food services.
I move to approve the food service bids.
I move to approve the food service bids. Wade seconded it. All those in favor? 7G, consideration of out-of-state trips.
In your packets, we've outlined several overnight and out-of-state field trips. We do this every year at this time because there's a lot of summer trips that involve that. There's D1 girls basketball camp and FFA retreat in there and boys basketball trip. So I just need those approved because they are either out-of-state and or overnight.
Move to approve the out-of-state trips.
Jim made the motion to approve the out-of-state trips or the field trip requests. Lee seconded it. All those in favor? Motion carries. 7H, consideration of JAG programs MOU.
So we are asking to add a JAG program to South Putnam. We had one a while ago. It was Keith Pruitt before he became our counselor. And actually at that time, Keith came into our building only part of the time. He rotated around to some of the other schools in the county. When Keith quit doing it, that program kind of just dropped off here. The easy part about adding a JAG program to your school is there's no cost or liability for South in terms of providing anything for the employee in terms of benefits or pay because they're a Vincennes University employee. So we get to be part of the approval process of that person because they're in our building. It's probably comparable to like what we have with Old National Trail, right? We have a teacher in our building that is hired and paid by Old National Trail, but they're a South Putnam employee, right? Like they're here on teacher days, they come during the school year, they participate in our staff trainings, they participate in our school environment, our school culture. So they are a South Putnam person, but we're not paying for them because they actually work for that outside group. So the JAG program is funded by the state. And so really it's just a gift to the schools. And what JAG does is Jobs for America is what the JAG part means. But basically they focus on a group of kids. The sweet spot really what they told us is 40 kids. It's anywhere from 30 to 60 kids, but you're going to start out smaller than that. And you try to work up to 40 kids. And you help identify, they work with our counseling department. Brian was in on that meeting when we sat down and talked about it. And they said, you try to target kids that you feel are kind of vulnerable, right? So that may be for a financial reason. It may be because they're a first-generation college student. It may be because we've identified that they're struggling or they just need some extra purpose and direction. And this JAG coordinator works with them. They get a class period. It could be homeroom. It could be a full class period where they work with the JAG coordinator and they do employability skills. They work through academic skills, how to manage your time, how to get your homework completed, how to communicate professionally. As they get closer and they go through school, they stay with that JAG coordinator through high school. As they get closer to graduation, then they're going to be partnering with Karen Haven and helping kids with their resumes and their job application skills and their mock interview moments. And then actually, even after they graduate, they stay with them at least 1 year, but typically 2 years. They follow them into that post-secondary environment. And sometimes it's amazing what a little burden can do in terms of getting a kid to not make that jump, right? Like you hear, I call it a horror story, right? And you find out that a kid had a problem with their housing application, and because they were a first generation college student, they just kind of panicked and like, oh, well, I couldn't really get that worked out, and then they just ended up not going. And when you have somebody like a JAG coordinator, in addition to our school staff that's watching over kids, it's one more person on our team that's helped keeping an eye on these kids and following through with them and being that support person to help make it through that hurdle and following those outcomes. And they are reporting back to the workforce development, which is, and I can tell you the people that came and met with us. The manager, which is Kim Snodgrass, is one who came in on the meeting. She's the JAG manager. And then our area director, who's Greg Lee, came. And then actually Katie Rounds, who's related to Kevin Rounds, who is the chief workforce officer of the DWD. She came into our meeting too. And the three of them came in to talk to us about this program. I think North Putnam has 2 now. Cloverdale has a couple. Greencastle has 1. This will be getting 1 back in our building. Really, all we have to do is supply them a space and support and kids. That's
so do
what
they have. Do they have just like a certain period of the day that they meet? Is that like every day, every?
Right. So yeah, they would be here every day at school, and they would be working with kids each day, and then that's where we're going to start out with a smaller number, and then you work up to where you're going to have a small group of kids first period, a small group of kids second period. The space that I would allocate right now is what we're using right now is our secondary conference room. It's back in our renovated area that used to be our library. That's actually where Keith was at when he talked to us before, but there's a whiteboard back there, and it's, there's sufficient space. So I do have a physical place that I could house that person. I talked to Jason Chu about it. He loves their JAG program. He said it's excellent. It's just,
Don't most of the other county schools have one?
yeah, that's why I was saying North's getting their second. I think Cloverdale has 2 now too, and Greencastle has 1. So I feel like we're a little behind on this.
Sounds like it.
So it's like a class, like I have English, math, JAG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And when we look at the new graduation requirements that are coming, right? So the State Board of Education is going to vote this summer on the recommended new graduation requirements. JAG fits into that piece too. So not only can it be a credit now for kids, but it'll be part of that point system with the new graduation requirements too. So kids actually get a credit for doing it, and that makes sense because they're learning employability skills during that class.
Sounds great. Thank you.
I move to approve the JAG program MOU.
Joe made the motion to approve the JAG program MOU, and Wade seconded it. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. 7I, consideration of Ad Tech FY 2025, sorry, contract.
2025.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
my bad. AdTech, I brought this every year. They work in the background as an advocate for savings for South Putnam. They facilitate all of our E-rate discount, documentation and application process, and all the tedious legal stuff that's required for that. They get us deep discounts though on like internet services, those types of things. We're seeking approval of the AdTech agreement, competitive bidding, and application process, and the Children's Internet Protection Act, all in your packets.
Questions, comments, discussion? All right. Wade made the motion to approve the iTech contract, and Lee seconded it. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 8, or no other business. No other business. 9, superintendent's report. Dr. Smith.
I'll try to keep it short tonight. At this time of year, we're working to wrap this year up, but we're also preparing for next school year. Part of that process is reviewing and updating our handbooks and policies to reflect legislative and legal changes, as you all very well know, while also evaluating the policies for needed change to better serve students and staff. My administrative team has been working diligently on handbook and policy updates for the last several months since the last legislative session ended. Also in consideration, they've been working on the implementation and the day-to-day operations of the school and the district, taking into consideration those things. In saying all that, I'm just providing a heads up for the coming months to see handbook and policy changes coming to you for your approval and adoption that will reflect 2024 needs and requirements for both our students and our staff. As most things in policy and handbooks, there will be a legal review process prior to coming to you for approval. But I wanted to let you know that my team is working on several updates that will uphold the successful tradition and values at South Putnam while also meeting the needs of today's students. Second thing that I want to go over is actually I'm handing off to Mrs. Gardner again because there's something that I want her to share that is very exciting.
We got a chance to share this out on social media, but I hadn't had a chance to come and talk to you guys about it. So I did want to officially say that we got our endorsements, our CEL endorsement, which is the Center of Excellence in Leadership of Learning, and that's through the University of Indianapolis. Just to put this in context, how kind of rare this is, if you work the numbers for the number of schools that have this certification and the number of high schools in Indiana, it's only 13% of high schools in Indiana are able to reach this certification level. So it's a really distinguished thing. It really shows the rigor that we have here at South Putnam. In terms of like within the county, we're the only ones in the county. No one in Montgomery County, Clay County, Hendricks County even has this acknowledgement. So it shows you the level of commitment of our teachers and the capacity of our students to be able to achieve this. On June 4th, we'll be going to a ceremony where we're going to get the banners, so we get to hang that up in our hallway and let everybody know the kind of education they're getting here at South Putnam. So to show, in order to achieve this, when I took over as the been an initial meeting that some of our staff, that the previous principal, Mr. Yole, went to with a couple of our teachers. I think Mr. Garner, you went to that too, to basically just kind of get the information about what does this process look like. And that's kind of where we started late winter, early spring last year. What do we need to do? And it involved putting together this portfolio aligned to the principles that they have for that designation. And it revolves around academic rigor, and then it also talks about student support, because we've had a strong AP program that we've been building for several years. We're seeing that come into fruition. We had so many AP tests in the last several days, mornings and afternoons, where kids were taking those tests, and that really raised the bar for our highest achievers. This early college certification designation really raises the bar for all students, because it's also focused on expanding those dual credit opportunities for all students, not just the students who are wanting to take classes at that AP level. So that's an exciting thing, and it's crucial to their vision. So when they came in to talk to us, they were asking us questions like, how are you communicating with families? How are you letting them know what these opportunities are? How are you talking to the kids who are being identified? Like when you give the PSAT, it gives you this report called the AP Potential Report that tells you this kid is showing some proficiencies that indicate they might be ready for that class. And so they want to know, how are we using that? How are we recruiting kids? How are we supporting them during the day? So one of the new things that we did, we have this kind of beautiful U-shaped learning center, right? And over on that side, it's kind of this little nook over there. And so we've had some kind of fun furniture over there. We really centralized that and made that an early college lounge. And we also committed to putting teachers in there throughout the day to support kids, so that when they have a period, their AP prep period, it's a time when they can talk to a licensed teacher who's teaching that level of a class, and they can get specific help from that teacher. And so part of that was in fulfilling the requirements for this designation, is how are we helping support students? Through this program, students can get anywhere from 15 credits, which is kind of the lowest acknowledged one. Kids can get 3 credit hours of dual credit. There's not a low limit on it, but they want to acknowledge the kids who hit 15, because that's your first semester of college, and then kids who hit that 30, which the state of Indiana talks about that Indiana College Core, which is the ICC. This last year and this coming year, 20% of our seniors are going to have the ICC, and that's amazing. It's really critical, right? The state of Indiana thinks that's so important that they're now requiring all schools in the state of Indiana to offer the ICC, and we're already ahead of the game on that. And not only are we offering the ICC, but we're offering it by teacher-led classrooms, right? So almost all of them are South Putnam teachers, the teachers that they know, that they love, that care about them, they know them in that small school environment. They're taking their classes from them. And then one of the classes, one of the requirements in that Indiana College Core, they get to go to Ivy Tech campus to take, which has been a lot of fun. They get to go to a college campus environment, have a professor teach them the class. I think part of our high enrollment did have to do with the fact that it was Monday on Wednesday only. Kids love the idea of, like, going and getting a coffee and, like, coming in. That was kind of a lot of fun. But it gives kids truly that college experience, and they know, I can do this, right? So whether that kid goes and gets 3 hours of college credit, or they get 15, or they get 30, they know that they can meet that rigor and that they can be successful in that post-secondary environment. I want to specifically call out, first of all, our entire corporation has to do the work to make this happen. So I know that this is kind of a high school thing, because we're looking at kids at the end, but honestly, all the teachers throughout the corporation are working to prepare our kids from the time they're in preschool all the way up, so that we have kids who have the skills that they need and believe in themselves and know that they can meet this challenge. So I want to thank all of our teachers and all of our administrators, and you guys as a school board, and Dr. Smith as our superintendent, for believing in this. When they came in to do our meeting before they chose whether, they decided whether or not we were going to get the designation, they couldn't stop talking about our people, just how remarkable our teachers are. The guy who led this process with us, his name's Steve Combs. And Steve Combs was the guy who reached out to us initially in the meeting, and he was one of them who actually came from a small school environment, and the other 2 people who were with him were more like big school people. And before our kids came in, Steve was like, you don't understand. They're going to come in here and tell you that they're taking hard classes,
that they're like in student council and every other organization, that they're a 3-sport athlete and they have a part-time job. And he said that, and they're kind of chuckling and laughing. And then they come in, and guess what Landon Chu tells them, right? I mean, it's like our kids started down the row, and they're telling them, yeah, I'm doing all of these things. And so to have those kinds of kids, to bring them in front of a group of people, to see the kindness of those kids, the personality of those kids, the academic excellence that they have, and their commitment to community, was a really proud moment for us as a school. So I also want to call out Natalie Hodge, Tiffany Dixon, and Samantha Jones. They're 3 of our teachers who really have spearheaded this. Our teachers who teach dual credit classes have to extend their education in order to just be eligible to teach dual credit classes. And they have to continue that education. We're part of the AP Tippin program through Notre Dame, where they get specific training, and John helps lead a lot of that contact with Notre Dame, so thank you, John, for that work. And they get to stay connected to professional development resources and continue their education that way. But they had to have either a master's in their content area, or they have to have a master's plus 18 hours in their content area just to be eligible to teach these classes. So that shows you their level of commitment. And then a lot of them are teaching 4, 5, 6 different classes during the day just for us to have the flexibility to be able to tier our education to this degree at South Putnam. So in a lot of our classes, we have the high school credit version, we have the early college dual credit version, and then we still have an AP version in many of our classes. And that's remarkable at a school our size to be able to make that happen. And again, it's on the backs of the people who do that work and are willing to teach 6 different classes every day just to make that happen for our students. Another cool thing, when our kids were sitting in there talking to them, they said, we just need something and we ask and they somehow make it happen, right? Like, we're going to have AP chemistry next year, right? Because Mr. Arrett said yes. We had AP physics because Tiffany Dixon said yes. We have the kind of school where people just say, kids say, I need something, and our people say yes. I also want to thank Ivy Tech. Their partnership, they're our main partner through this, and they provide not just the classes the kids are taking in this building, but the class they're taking at Ivy Tech. They open up their online catalog to us during the school year. They have a grant over the summer that allows kids to take classes over the summer, and all of that is free to our students. So they do get some funding from the state, but they also are covering that for our kids. So I want to thank them. Tammy Keenan, she's the site director there. Tammy is here all the time. Again, Brian and I brought to her, we wanted to do the comm class, right? We needed that at Ivy Tech. So we met with Tammy, and we said, Tammy, our kids need this. How do we make this happen? And she said, well, I think we can do it at this time. And we're like, that's going to be really hard because of the way it lines up with our schedule. If we could do it at this time, we could get kids in there. And Tammy's like, okay, let me see if I can make that happen. And within a few weeks, Tammy's back to us and said, yes, we can make that happen. We're going to offer a section. And then we went out and found kids and enrolled and filled that class up. And then we had more kids, and they filled up a second section of that class. So when we bring things to them, they respond. So they've been great. They've also sent somebody into our building this year. Ashley Pearson actually comes to South once a week, and she meets with kids. So it's kind of like what the JAG coordinator is going to do for us too. It's just one more person on our team who's meeting with kids and saying, hey, how do we need to fill the voids for you? What are some classes you can be taking advantage of? What are some programs you can be transitioning into? One last thing, congratulations to Amanda Line. She was named the Ivy Tech Dual Credit Instructor of the Year out of the Terre Haute campus. So kudos to her. She works her tail off and offers a lot of courses to our kids. And it's just one more recognition that just shows you the opportunities that kids have at South
Putnam. Last thing, construction project, as you know, are in full gear. Please be safe out there and stay out of the construction zones. I mean, this is an exciting area, but yeah, there's heavy equipment out there. So
talking to you, Lee.
But it's very exciting. We're going to see a lot of changes coming really fast. A lot of our roof work and stuff will start May 28th. So they'll be staging May 28th. So all of that will be moving forward. So it's very exciting time to be a South Putnam Eagle. Academically, programming, construction projects. It's just a great place to be. So, tonight.
Dr. Smith? All right, if there is nothing else, we will adjourn. Our next regular school board meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in right here, actually. Someone does say.
Gus? Hey, Joe, what was that called? Jared. iMovie. Because I got more pictures.
No worries, thank you.
For your time lapse. I can't wait to see it.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yep, I can make that happen.
Pictures you want.
So.
It's my. Yeah.
Thank you, Harlan. I appreciate you listening. I don't know how he had it.
Where would I go?
You like should have said
No, and I don't.
I
know that.
I'm an emotional guy. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I haven't called my and then to actually sign this. I don't know what the process is for you guys. So,
I don't know what you.
But over here is when we actually started the 40 weeks doesn't start until 40 weeks doesn't start.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so we can actually put it in.
That's when the term.
Yeah, sorry.
There's one more.
I didn't know and I didn't tell you the 40 weeks start.
Right, so the policy you can sign anytime, like I said, 30 days, you get out of it. 30 days, notice is all. It's not even.
Manny.
Behind. I was gonna start.
In September, you can go, the sheriff's.
40 weeks doesn't start on
I know, right?
On this day, so that's when you, that's when you.
Chatting, and I don't know where Joe is either.
I wouldn't even bill you till before. So,
What's the rest of that?
this would be.
You one of those?
It can be. It can be,
But it's not, it can't be executed until you.
You want to keep it together?
Yeah, they're all numbered anyway.
Who's the president?
Lisa.
Yeah, so Lisa will sign here and date.
Good. I already signed those already.
Signed.
You should go.
When does the 40 weeks?
Nope, you got. Oh no. Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's the ending date.
Right, it says commencing.
iMovie.
So we
If
need
we
to
date
put.
this, the execution date.
Let me do that.
I think I got this one right. I wasn't gonna wind it up and not have it right. So.
Joe, is it a Apple app with the white star?
Okay.
That's it.
It should say Apple as the developer.
You and Lisa.
Well, I mean, there's
Got an
an
attorney for this, I can call it.
It tells you who it's
Theory is this, we got
It's
it.
from Apple.
It's open.
Well, yeah, that's the idea.
Hi.
Can she go to the meeting with us?
Signatures there.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I think that's the AM.
Lisa only. Lisa only. You and then Lisa. I got everything.
Thank you very much.
My attorney can't be there, so I can't get
That's our job, but we could push it. Questions, nothing. I think.
When we sign it. Whenever. I don't need it until day of.
I had a.
Okay, I'll get it.
We're paying money into an account.
In 5 years, it's $75,000 to be sitting there. In 5 years, right? Is that what? Right. Yeah, I didn't.
I'm not.
I have another question for you.
Yes, I did too. I think I signed everything. No, I didn't. I'm lying.
It's a bunch.
I signed that.
Oh, you did?
There was only one.
Oh, that's Elisa. Wade.
Wayne did not sign that. Wayne.
I was told I was done. Oh, you were done? That's what I was told.
Yes, but I can
Here's
get
a Wade and a Lee. Here's a Wade. Who told you?
Yeah, I don't know either.
So.
Okay, so June 17th. I gotta go write that down right now.
Wade.
Okay.
This is a Wade.
So how do you do this? What do you mean? Starting a project?
Wait, here's more Wades.
Two
whole things I signed.
Make a movie from scratch using media from photos?
Yep, get that.